Okay, students, we are here for our final video on the Chinese philosophies, or the three ways. This is for legalism. Obviously, you can see very quickly some of the ideas behind this just by looking at the root here. Legal. Think of laws, rules, government. Legalism is all those things. Let's get started. Han Fei is behind legalism, and notice he is living much later than either Confucius or Lao Ji, so he is much farther after they are. Their philosophies have already deeply entrenched themselves in Chinese culture. Han Fei is responsible for the Han Fei Ji, the basic writings. He lived during the late Warring States period. So again, that might also indicate why he is a legalist person. This is during China's time when the different provinces are warring with one another. And legalism became the political philosophy of the Qin dynasty. First, human nature is naturally selfish. So if we look at the legalist principles, they're very different than what Taoism or Confucianism taught. Human nature is naturally selfish. That sounds bad. 2. Intellectualism, learning, studying, and literacy is discouraged. Does that agree with Taoism, or does that go against it? And I wonder why this is what legalist teachings encourage. Number 3, law is the supreme authority and it replaces morality. So morality is doing the right thing because of what you have inside of you. The law is an external force causing you to do the right thing. It's not something that is coming from within. Number 4, the ruler must rule with a strong, punishing hand. This is not Big Papa. This is mean, angry dad. Number 5, war is the means of strengthening a ruler's power. So war is something that is encouraged under legalist authority. It's very authoritarian itself, and that means someone who favors the idea that individuals should obey a powerful authority rather than have their own individual freedom. So authoritarian would look like someone forcing you to do what you don't want to do because they see their authority as what's best for everyone. You probably have noticed the difference between an authoritative teacher, somebody who stands in front of their class and teaches you and leads discussions and allows for some creativity and for some discussion, and an authoritarian teacher would be that teacher that you may have experienced before who says, sit down, be quiet, I'm teaching, you're learning, follow these rules that I've already given you. So that would be a difference between somebody who's authoritarian and somebody who just has authority and uses it in a way to foster learning and growth. We can also think of it as the ruler who cracks the whip on the back of his subjects. Not a very nice picture. So, as we wrap up our thoughts about Taoism, Confucianism, and legalism, let's look at them side by side. There are similarities between all three, and there are differences between all three. How is a man to live in the world dominated by chaos, suffering, and absurdity? Again, we saw this idea big time in Buddhism. The first rule in Buddhism of the Four Noble Truths is suffering exists. We all agreed that that was not perhaps an earth-shattering bit of knowledge, but if suffering exists, how is someone supposed to live in this? So this is a philosophical question that the three ways suggest answers to. First, we looked at Confucianism. And in Confucianism, we saw the idea that moral order in society helps things run smoothly. People should have within themselves the desire to do right, the desire to respect, the desire to have good relationships. That will build a safe, secure, harmonious society. In legalism, like we just saw, it's the idea of rule by harsh law and order. So remember, we said it's not that internal knowledge of good and right, but it's the desire to not get in trouble that's going to keep people in place. How is Taoism different? Here it comes in the middle. Taoism talks about the freedom for individuals to explore their own way, to explore their own place in nature. And Taoism talks really a lot about getting rid of government, about government playing a very limited role, people ignoring government, and that there should not be uniformity or conformity. No one should have to obey specific social rules or certain laws. So Confucianism talks about rules based on goodwill, people choosing to do what's right because they know it will be good for everyone in the end. And legalism talks about rules because people won't know how to do the right thing on their own, and so they'll be forced to do it. They need to be forced to do it. But Taoism is kind of opposite from both of these and says there shouldn't be rules, there shouldn't be laws, because everyone has their own way and they need to find their own way. So think about those three philosophies. In tradition, Taoism and Confucianism are friendly. One can believe both philosophies, can follow ideas from both philosophies. Legalism does not fit with either Confucianism or Taoism. These can be very different. And finally, I'm going to ask you to return to our folder within Blackboard, and you will complete a Google Apps questionnaire. I want you to think about the question I just posed to you. How can Confucianism and Taoism agree, and why do they both disagree with legalism? Thanks for watching. I hope your notes are complete, and I look forward to discussing this with you in class.